Good evening, everyone. My name's Steve Stewart. Pleasure to be here, full house, as we wrap up this excellent conference. But I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce QC Copper and Gold to those who haven't heard of it. I'm going to keep this presentation very simple because our story is very simple. We are a copper company focused in Quebec, hence the QC. And we just announced about 2 months ago a very large copper resource, which is pit constrained. It's about 2 billion pounds of copper at a head grade of 0.9% copper equivalent. In the heart of Quebec, all the infrastructure is there. This was an old mine that we acquired from Falconbridge, who operated as 4 high-grade underground mines for a period of 50 years. It shut down in the 90s. We benefited from that huge database, which we acquired. Took from analog, digitized it. Early on, we drilled some discovery holes, or we call discovery holes, where we've reinterpreted from a high-grade vein system to a bulk tonnage system, and hence our 100 million ton resource, which just came out in September. We're a $45 million market cap company, which is peanuts. There's 10x potential from here, in my opinion, especially when you consider 34 out of that $45 million is working capital, $20 million of that is cash. So we're well-financed. We've got a big resource. We're in the best jurisdiction in the world, bar none. And we're just about to announce a 100,000 meter drill program in the coming days. So I will just quickly run through everything that I just spoke about. This is what I said corporately. 135 million shares outstanding, 180 fully diluted. I'm one of the largest shareholders personally. I paid cash for every single share. We've got about nearly $20 million in cash when you factor in some warrants that came in. Our market cap there is very low relative to the potential upside on this. Once we become known, we've been around since 2019, but nobody paid attention until we came out with that resource, which is on September 20th. Note there, we've got 14 million shares of marketable securities, which takes our working capital to that 32 million. That's our position in Baseload Energy, which is a company that I also founded. It's led by the CEO. His name's James Sykes, very well-known, respected uranium geologist back home in Canada. That company's got $20 million in cash, and he just made a discovery. Same time we came out, QC came out with his resource, he announced a new high-grade near-surface discovery in the middle of the Athabasca. It's now a $100 million company. QC, as I said, QC about a month ago owned 18 million shares. We sold $8 million of that a couple weeks ago. And we have about 11 million shares there, which we will sell in the coming future, to be determined. We're in no rush to sell it because I believe in James, I believe in this discovery, and Baseload, as I said, has $20 million, which it's going to be using to drill that discovery out starting in January. We're in the heart of Chibougamau, which is where all the copper in Canada was produced, or at least Eastern Canada throughout the 20th century. There's nothing producing there right now. You mentioned Ernie Mast. Ernie is on the other side of the camp. And Doré Copper, they've got a whole bunch of nice assets, some of which you can see right there. We're on the west side. We've got a large camp there. And that whole camp eventually will be consolidated by whoever puts all this stuff into production. But for now, we've got by far the largest resource in the area. We're 100 million tons. And historically speaking, there was 1.5 billion pounds of copper pulled out of those 4 mines and about 1 million ounces of gold. So we think we have the opportunity to sort of lead the charge in the camp there. We've got another asset we acquired called the Roger. 500,000 ounces, 1 gram deposit. It's not big enough, but there's upside potential. It's on the rail, I'll note. We benefit from all the legacy infrastructure of having a 50-year mining operation there. So rail, that's a CN railroad, runs west to Rouyn-Noranda, where Glencore smelter is, or alternatively, we can ship it east to Baie-Comeau and ship the concentrate to Europe. Cleanest power in the world. ESG is certainly in vogue these days. You want to produce a mine, it's certainly beneficial if you can do it with clean, renewable energy, which hydroelectric has, or Quebec has a bounty of, and it's also 5 cents a kilowatt hour. We've got a local workforce. two towns, Chibougamau and Chapay, are in the neighborhood, form that district. People love working on these projects because they can go home to their families at night. So it just makes everything, getting people easier and doing work cheaper. So what the resource looks like, I won't, if you're interested, check it out on our website. I won't go through the details. This is what it looks like. Everything you see there is what we have in our model. Everything within that pit shell is the 2 billion pounds. But as you can clearly see, this is going to get bigger. So everything sort of outside that shelf, we're not talking about it yet. And this is only 2 out of the 4 mines. Okay, so we haven't hit the 3rd and the 4th mine, which I'll show you in a second. But this is going to get bigger. How much bigger? Well, we're throwing 100,000 meters at it in 2022 to figure out, can it get twice as big? Certainly. That's certainly on the table. The pit on the right-hand side there is quite shallow relative to the pit on the west side, so we're going to be throwing a lot of meters there, and you can see there's high-grade mineralization there. In fact, Falconbridge left 3 million tons at 3% at the Perry, which is the eastern stuff at depth, which, again, we're not even talking about in terms of the 2 billion pounds. There's a starter pit scenario, got about 3 years' worth of production at 15,000 tons a day at 1.25% copper, very low strip, very good capital payback, and then we'll expand after for life of mine. Metallurgy, 50 years worth of metallurgy on this asset. It's all clean concentrate. They send a 25% copper concentrate with gold and silver payable to the mill. Mines 3 and 4, you can sort of see there, Robitaille and the Cook. We have not even tackled those yet. We have extensive database, but we acquired it about a year and a half after we acquired what I showed you before. So we're just getting caught up, but there's big potential in the Robitaille and the Cook to add to the resources. And then there's huge discovery potential along that Gwillem fault, which is the same fault that runs right into the Chibougamau camp, where a couple other juniors are, and there's probably a dozen historic mines. So it's a very pregnant fault, lots of upside potential there. This is our satellite deposit, 500,000 ounces at a gram. Not our focus, but we acquired it from a distressed company earlier this year. It's a nice asset to have as a satellite deposit. There'll be others. This is baseload. Just put it in here as a cheap plug because it's an exciting story, and QC Copper owns a significant percentage of it, 16% shareholders. And why it's interesting, because we just made this discovery, which is near surface, high grade, with I think the best uranium guy in the country leading the charge. Recruited him, and we've been financing him ever since, and look, the first drill program, he hit it. So it's early days. Another company called 92 Energy, as you can see there, but right on the border, so it should be interesting to see how this all plays out. 450 meters away, they made a discovery hole, and then about 3 weeks later, we did the same thing. There's been 4 holes into this system, 450 meters apart, which is huge, like very wide for uranium. Usually uranium's quite small, so it's a big system. Early days, but very promising, so it's exciting. This just says we're drilling, because that's what we are. We're a drill store for the balance of the year. In maybe 12 months' time, we'll start thinking about PEA, economics, engineering, etc. Social license is key, certainly in Quebec, and certainly everywhere. There's no exception. We got the First Nations there, Cree, very sophisticated, business-minded group who are partners on our drill programs. Slashing, core shack, that sort of stuff, catering. And that's it. The key guy is Charles Baudry. He's the geologist. He sourced this project. He's been with me for 10 years. And he deserves all the credit for originating it, but reinterpreting what was a high-grade underground situation to bulk tonnage, just like Osisko, just like Detour, just like Côte Lake. Exact same strategy, except we're doing it with copper, and we're doing it hard at Quebec. That's it. Thank you.